The new year is upon us, and I know a lot of us are thinking about what changes we are going to make, how we're going to get our houses organized, our budgets organized, get ourselves fit and healthy for the new year. But I'm telling you that if you want to save money, especially on your grocery bill, don't go to the grocery store yet. Hear me out. It's New Year's Day when I'm filming this. Happy New Year, everybody. I know that in the past, I have been tempted to just do a huge purge of my kitchen. Just go through and throw away every cracker and every snack and every cube of cheese that's hanging out in my fridge from the cheese board that we've been snacking on throughout the holidays. I know it's really tempting to just throw everything away and start fresh and new. And if you want to do that, cool, that's up to you. It's your kitchen, you can do whatever you want. But one of the habits that I have formed over the last few years that has helped me save a lot of money on groceries across the year is to challenge myself to use things up around my kitchen. For me, this usually means that once every month, maybe 6 weeks, I take a look in my fridge and my freezer and in my pantry, and I look for packages that are open. I look for produce that is nearing or almost past its prime. I look for things that have been hanging out in my freezer for a while and maybe need to be utilized in meals. And for us, for our household, not only does this help limit food waste, it also helps us delay going to the grocery store for a few days. And over the course of the year, delaying a grocery trip by 2 or 3 days, it really adds up and saves us a lot of money. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I just finished filming and planning and cooking for my new capsule meal plan video that you will have seen probably, or if you haven't seen it, I will leave it linked in the description box, as well as the ebook that accompanies it. There's a discount code down there for that as well. And I have like some ingredients from that capsule hanging out in my kitchen, so I've been kind of trying to use those things up. For instance, last night I was still working on a couple of the recipes. I made some breakfast pockets with biscuits and eggs and cheese and sausage. And I also was working on a carbonara style dish for another video that I believe you will have seen as well, and it was absolutely delicious. I realize it's not real authentic carbonara because I used bacon, but it is a dish that includes many of the ingredients of carbonara, and it was delicious. And that is sort of a common theme for me with these pantry clean outs. Whenever I'm trying to thin out the fridge or the freezer, I am often trying to use stuff up that I have purchased for a special reason, mostly for videos. And I know a lot of us might find ourselves in that position right now after the holidays, maybe things that are hanging around that wouldn't always be in our kitchen. And I know it's really tempting to just throw it all out, to start fresh. A lot of us are probably craving like lighter eating and salads and veggies and things like that after some of the more indulgent treats of the holidays. But there might be some ways that you can repurpose some of the things that are hanging out in your kitchen. For instance, candied nuts are really good chopped up and put into like oatmeal bowls or yogurt bowls. Spiced nuts are really good on salads or sometimes on rice bowls. Leftover ham, even just a little bit of it, can be diced up and used to make different soups like potato soups. Same goes for turkey or other meats. Even if there's just a little bit left, even if you don't want to make it right away, you can freeze it. Speaking of freezing things, sometimes I will freeze whatever desserts I have. Like if I have some cookies that are still in good shape, or maybe a few pieces of pie. A lot of times I don't want to eat that stuff at the beginning of the year just because we've had a lot of it throughout the holidays. But sometimes I will just freeze it in little baggies and little individual portions. Then a few weeks later, whenever things have kind of settled back down and I've had a few weeks of normal eating, those can make some really nice portion controlled treats. For dinner tonight, I'm working on a one-pan meal that is utilizing actually ingredients from my capsule meal plan. And if it works out, the book is not quite done yet. I mean, it's not totally, like the final version isn't ready yet, so I could still add this recipe to it if it works out. And I think this is kind of like a hamburger helper style meal, except I'm using sausage. I had half a pound of ground mild Italian sausage. I'm finishing browning that up. To that, I am going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes. I'm gonna add some rice. I think I'm just gonna add 3/4 of a cup of rice, and I'll probably add the rice first and let that brown with the sausage here as it's finishing up. Then I'll add the tomatoes. I will add a cup of water, bring it to a simmer, let it simmer covered for about 10 minutes, turn the heat off. And then I'm gonna finish it up by adding just a splash of heavy cream. and some shredded cheese. And then I'll figure out some veggies that we can have on the side. Okay, here it is. I just warmed up some plain old green beans from the can, salt and pepper, and have it along here with my sausage rice. This turned out so good. It's really good. So simple, but really flavorful. Definitely gonna jot the recipe down and add it to the capsule cooking ebook because it was really easy and it's very tasty. I would definitely make this again. Now, I know it might seem overwhelming to think about this type of exercise, using things up in your kitchen if you've never done it before. But my advice would be just to take baby steps. You don't have to start by going an entire week trying to use up things in your pantry, fridge, and freezer. Maybe start by delaying that grocery trip by just one day. If you know that you've got enough food on hand to feed your family, maybe just start by coming up with meals for one day. Delay that trip to the grocery store by one day. You'll be surprised how much easier it gets as you make this a regular part of your kitchen routine. Like maybe once every month or once every couple of months, you challenge yourself to do this sort of exercise and use things up. I have been doing this long enough that I actually have an entire playlist of pantry challenges and use it up challenges. It's linked in the description box below. I even made a little e-cookbook last year of recipes that I created that just came about because of these types of videos. So you can check those things out in the description box if you want more ideas. But don't get discouraged if you're new to it. I really think it gets easier the more we make this a habit. Kind of like getting your exercise in every day, or making your bed, or taking your vitamins. And speaking of vitamins, I am excited to be working again with Care Of to bring you today's video. Care Of is a subscription service that delivers high quality vitamins, supplements, and powders right to your doorstep every single month. However, at Care Of, they do things just a little bit differently because they personalize the regimen to their users. With Care Of, I go to their website and I take a short but in-depth quiz about my lifestyle and my health goals, and then it makes recommendations from that information that are catered specifically to me and to my health goals. One of the things that I indicated in my quiz that I'm working on is better sleep, which is why my Care Of package includes sleep vitamins. But I also said that I am interested in joint health and skin health, which is why collagen is one of the things that they're recommending as part of my supplement regimen. I also love to work with Care Of because their introductory offer is outstanding. They give 50% off your first order. All you have to do is visit the link in the description box below, or go to takecareof.com and use the code Mindy50 at checkout. Again, that's half off your first order with Care Of when you visit the link in the description box, or go to takecareof.com and use the code Mindy50. I also really like that the vitamins come in little individual packages that are portioned out for each day. So if I'm traveling, I can just grab a couple of these and throw them into my suitcase. I can put a few pouches in my purse if I'm on the go and I've forgotten to take them earlier in the day. I just think it's really convenient. I don't have any excuses for not making this part of my daily routine. If you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's the question on my little Care Of pouch today. Leave me a comment below and let me know. Thank you again to Care Of for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to take advantage of that fantastic introductory offer. Just visit the link in the description box, or go to takecareof.com and use the code Mindy50 for 50% off your entire first order with Care Of. I needed something for dinner tonight that was going to stay warm in the slow cooker for a few hours so that people could eat as they're kind of coming and going from activities. And I found in the freezer a half-used bag of hash brown potatoes and a half-used bag of frozen corn. And so I threw that into the crock pot with some garlic, some bouillon cubes, some water, a little seasoning. I've made this kind of soup, this kind of like potato corn chowder before with the Trader Joe's everything but the elote seasoning. So I threw some of that in with it. And then I also decided I wanted to add half a block of cream cheese, and I put the slow cooker on high. We're just gonna hope for the best. We'll see how it turns out here in a little bit and how I can finish it up. Okay, this actually turned out really good. I let it cook on high for about 2.5 hours, and then I added just a little bit of heavy cream that I was trying to use up. It was probably about 1/4 to 1/2 cup that I had left in the container. And I also added about 1 cup of shredded cheese into the crock pot, and then I just let it heat through on low until the cheese was melted, everything was incorporated, and I sprinkled just a little bit of cheddar cheese on mine here, and I've already tasted it. It's really good. It needed just a little bit of black pepper for me, but I'm actually very pleased. I did not have high hopes for this, but I think I might even put a couple of crackers in it. and it's gonna be tasty. And it's really cold out. It's like 34 degrees outside. For our Christmas dinner this year, I actually ordered a turkey from a local business. It was a smoked turkey, and before we left to visit family after the holiday, I put it into the freezer. So we're back now, and I pulled this out to defrost, and I've decided that I'm going to attempt some kind of casserole with it. And I think since this is a smoked turkey, I'm gonna kind of take it almost like a Southwest style turkey tetrazzini, because I have an open package of linguine I want to use up. I have several open packages of cheese. I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to find out. I cooked my linguine noodles on the stove to al dente and drained them, and now I'm making a roux from 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour. I just want to mix that together over low heat until it gets kind of pasty. And then to that, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of milk, and I'm using whole milk. And I'm going to season that with some salt and pepper and some elote seasoning from Trader Joe's, just because, I don't know, feels right. I'm gonna stir that around until it starts to thicken. And then I'm also going to add 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. Again, I don't know why, it just seems right. And the rest of my 2 little packages of cheese that I have, one of them is a Mexican blend and one of them is just a sharp cheddar. Then I'm going to stir in my turkey. I defrosted that and I cut it up into little bitty pieces so it's in nice little bite-sized chunks. Just incorporate that into the sauce. And then I will pour that into a casserole dish with the noodles, and I will just bake it at 350 for about 25 minutes until it is all heated through, and we'll see how it turns out. I have to say, this did turn out very well. I am pleased. I mean, you know, it's like pasta and turkey and tomatoes and cream sauce and cheese, so how could I go wrong? But still, you just never know. I didn't know if those flavors would work or not, but they did. We spent New Year's Eve primarily putting away Christmas decorations and watching a few minutes of college football, or maybe more than a few minutes, because there were a lot of really good games on New Year's Eve. But I did manage to take a few minutes in the middle of the day to whip up a quick lunch of tomato soup and grilled cheese with a few things that I had hanging out in my kitchen. And for dinner, instead of going all out on a big, huge New Year's Eve dinner, I actually just got all of the leftovers out that have accrued over the holidays. Mainly snacky things like chips and queso and cheese and crackers and some veggies and dip and some of the jalapeno chicken sliders that I made at my in-laws. I brought some of the leftovers back with me because it made a lot. And that is a practice that can help a lot whenever we are trying to use stuff up, is to have a leftovers night. And I do this occasionally. I just get everything out of the fridge. It's sort of an everything must go night. I put it out on the counter. Sometimes I supplement with some veggies or with a green salad, or maybe I whip up some rice if we want to make rice bowls with the leftover meat or something like that. But we will just have everything laid out and everybody can make their plates and make a really great, delicious meal, and we can use up that food that we have. One of the things that made this easier for me to commit to is realizing that not everybody's plate has to look exactly the same. Maybe I don't have enough of any one thing left over to serve everybody, but maybe I have 2 or 3 different dishes that could create plenty of meals across the 5 of us. And this goes for things that I'm trying to use up in my pantry or in my fridge or freezer as well. For instance, I have a roast going in the crock pot behind me that was in my freezer. I just threw it in the crock pot this morning with some pepperoncinis, a little Italian dressing mix, and some garlic. I also have 1 little small bag of baby potatoes that are left over from Christmas dinner. I bought 2 bags and I only needed 1. But that 1 little small package probably isn't quite enough to create a side dish for all 5 of us. But I noticed that in the refrigerator, I also have a package of tortellini that I need to use that's still hanging out from my capsule meal plan cooking. So it will be really easy for me to throw that tortellini onto a sheet pan with some veggies and maybe some olive oil and seasonings, and get the potatoes roasting in the oven as well. And then everybody can still create a meal with this protein that I'm making, even if their plates don't look exactly the same. Like a lot of people around Christmas time, I was doing a little holiday baking a couple of weeks ago, and instead of going to the store and buying a whole bunch of ingredients for the recipes that I picked out, I actually went into my pantry and looked at the things that I have on my baking shelf that I needed to use up. And then I picked recipes utilizing those ingredients. So I kind of did it backward. By doing that, I was able to use up several open packages of just various items from my baking shelf, and we still had some really great holiday treats. Now I know that it's after the holidays and a lot of us might be trying to cut back on those things, but I am actually whipping up some oatmeal cookies today. In fact, I realized that I had like half a package of raisins in the pantry, and I have some oatmeal, and I know that I have the other ingredients that I need to make oatmeal cookies, and the reason that I'm doing that is because those are gonna make great lunch packing options for my kids. We're about to go back to school, and instead of running out to the grocery store to get a bunch of little individual packages of snacks and things that they can pack in their lunches along with their fruits and veggies and sandwiches, I'm actually going to just try to whip up some snack mixes and maybe some cookies using up the last of those little holiday baking ingredients that I have hanging out in my pantry. Don't forget to check out Care Of. They're in the description box below, or you can go to takecareof.com and use the code Mindy50 for 50% off your first order. And if you want more pantry cooking, use it up, clean out the kitchen ideas, there's a whole playlist of videos in the description box below, or check out one of these, and I'll see you there.